they're off. A race away for the Unibet Champion hurdle.
Often not the headline act, but when the favourites falter, Golden Ace has mastered seizing the moment, capitalising on the chaos.
He's down! State Man has gone, and it's Golden Ace left in front, and Golden Ace and Lorcan Williams are going to win the Unibet Champion hurdle.
We're down here in the lovely southwest to speak to her trainer Jeremy Scott about where he might play his next hand.
I don't think anybody could imagine it went the way it did. It was the most extraordinary day. But we'd probably not been happy with Golden Ace all season, and she was only just starting to come to herself, so I wasn't even sure we were going to Cheltenham.
It was a dramatic day, but leading up to the race, what was your general feeling going into it? Did you think that you were a 25 to 1 shot?
I think I probably did, in all honesty. Lorcan and I had discussed the mare's hurdle, and it was so clearly a much easier option in terms of not necessarily winning a race, but looking good in it. That was really where Lorcan and I were thinking until Mr. Gosden came up with this plan B, but I'm glad he did.
Has he let you know that since?
It's been mentioned.
It was a dramatic race. It was an amazing race to watch for so many different reasons. There were so many different storylines going into it. But when State Man comes down at the last, and it's Golden Ace jumping the last in front, what's the feeling? What does that feel like?
I mean, at the time, it was just sheer amazement, and I've said it so many times, it was as if you were having one of those ridiculous dreams that you occasionally have, where it's so clearly unrealistic. And that was slightly how it felt, that this just can't be happening. But having said that, I think up to the point that State Man fell, I was delighted with the way she was running. I mean, I thought she was running a really good race, and yes, we probably would have got nowhere near State Man on the running, but I did feel that we were at least running on rather than stopping. So, from the race's point of view, it was a great shame that State Man fell, but also from Golden Ace's point of view, maybe she doesn't get the credit that I think, had State Man stood up and we'd finished wherever we did with him, I think we would have maybe got a bit more credit.
Well, it's an incredible achievement. I know you mentioned that you felt that you were in a dream, but when it was reality, at what point did that set in?
The reality, I don't know, quite a long time. I mean, several days.
Right.
I mean, genuinely, and yeah, at the time, I mean, it was so bizarre and so crazy, and to a point so unbelievable that it was great celebrating, but it was as if you were still in this wonderful dream. But yeah, when it finally set in, yeah, huge pride, for the horse, but also everybody involved back here. I mean, it had been a difficult journey, the season, and all the staff, all the physios and farriers and everybody, it's a lot easier when it's going well, and so it was a great reward for everybody. We didn't deserve a reception like that because, the brighter days ahead, thoroughly fancied, completely blew out. State Man falling down, and then of course Constitutional. I mean, all the bets presumably were on those three horses. And so I was thinking we were going to go into that winner's enclosure at several reasons. Like, what the hell's just happened?
Yeah.
So, no, it was great that we got that reception.
Well, I know you said you weren't into football, but it reminded me of like an away end. It was such a hardcore well, obviously that everyone was there clapping you in, but there was one particular area that was just so supportive. It was amazing to see.
Well, I mean, fortunately, yeah, we had several friends, owners, all happened to be there that day as well, so they I think they led the chanting. But I now see that Dan Skelton got chanted at Newbury, didn't he, the other day?
Haydock it was.
Oh, Haydock.
So
yeah.
he's got the northern crowd.
Right, yeah.
You'll be slowly winning them over at the win at Newcastle.
Well, yeah, Newcastle, I was struggling to get them to sing.
This summer, you and the whole team here were in a unique position because you were preparing a champion hurdler to retain a champion hurdle. Golden Ace went to Wetherby first time out and was disappointing, but there have been excuses since. How definite was her participation in the Fighting Fifth at Newcastle?
I think really only sort of week leading up to it did we feel that we were fairly confident that she was pretty much back to where we had her prior to the Wetherby race. I mean, I was so convinced at Wetherby that we'd got her absolutely right. So when she bombed out there, that was a bit of a shocker, really. And I mean, I know we had a reason, but you know, the bad scope, I don't think it was as a result of a virus or a bacterial infection. I think she's quite sensitive. So anything that upsets that, almost as if she's got a level of asthma. You know, I don't know what the technical thing would be, but I mean, that's almost something must have set her off in the days running up to Wetherby. I mean, we scoped her 3 days before, so it literally happened as we were on the way up there almost. So we felt she was good, and medically we couldn't find any reason not to run her. But ideally, I think we were thinking another couple of weeks would have done us.
As a result, what was your expectations going into the weekend?
Oh, I was nervous. I was really nervous.
Why were you so nervous?
Well, because I didn't want to flop again. I didn't, we felt we'd got everything right. Yes, we felt we probably could have done with another couple of weeks, but the pressure of her flopping was quite intense, and I have to say, tacking her up, Emily, the girl that does her, and we were talking about it actually, and yeah, we were definitely feeling it.
Have you personally felt a little bit more expectation going into this season?
Yeah, I mean, I know the betting didn't suggest that the public expectation was too high, but yeah, and I feel it on myself, because you want the horses to go there at 100% and perform as well as they can, and if that means that you're not quite good enough to win, well, that's to a point fine, because the important thing is that you've got them there in the best possible conditions. So yeah, you always feel a bit of pressure, but yeah, it intensifies the better the grade of race and better the grade of horse, really.
It was almost a mirror of the champion hurdle when you were going into it. You had three big guns. You had a novice that could be anything in the New Lion for Dan Skelton. You had Constitution Hill, who so many people were talking about as, could he come back to his best? We'd seen him gallop at Newbury and stuff like that, and there was a storyline with him, as there always is. And then you had Amsterdam for Willie Mullins coming into the race. Did you feel overlooked going into it? Like, should a reigning champion hurdler be 22-1 going into a Fighting Fifth? Well,
I think given her previous run, I completely understand, and the quality and to a point the hype of the other three. I understand why we were the price we were. I did feel slightly insulted at the price.
Was it frustrating?
Yeah, well, a little bit, because I want her to prove that she is actually maybe just better than a very lucky horse, and that's sort of the position we're in at the moment. The talk is of how lucky we are and how unlucky everybody else is. So I'd love her to prove that she's a bit more than just lucky.
Well, I wanted to ask you that because we know what happened at the weekend. She was incredible, but the New Lion came down 2 out. The Constitution Hill fell very early. Golden Ace has now won 2 championship 2-mile Grade 1 hurdles. She's finished second at Punchestown. She's won a Mares Novices hurdle. You're best positioned to answer where you think she is when it comes to championship 2-mile graded hurdles. Where do you put her?
I mean, I think her run in Punchestown, where she was probably beaten 3 lengths by State Man, something like that, and I felt we were gaining towards the end, and I mean, State Man's a very good benchmark. So, whilst he had the upper hand on us, I don't think we're that far behind, and yes, Constitution Hill, he's obviously had his issues jumping in. On ratings, he's at his brilliant best is a league above us. But if you look at the rest of the opposition, everybody has questions to answer on their form, and ability. So, yeah, I mean, we're not a million miles off there, are we? And you know, I was so impressed with her this last race, the Fighting Fifth. I thought she was very slick, travelled back to as well as she travelled in her novice years. So I mean, I slightly feel that we're better off than we were last year. So if we can just keep eking out a bit more improvement, and if we get clear runs, then you know, we're not a million miles off that level anyway.
I don't want to keep talking about other horses, but I do want to ask you. You thought you were going really well in the Fighting Fifth. It was too early to tell what Constitution Hill would have done, but the New Line, when he came down 2 out, did you think it? I mean, Dan Skelton's kind of come out and said, we think he's now a 2-miler. He's proven that. I think personally, I get the impression that he thinks he would have gone extremely close. Did you think that you were going to finish second to him, or did you think no, this is really on?
I didn't think we were beaten going into the hurdle, and you know, the way she runs, I think she is, if she's able to eyeball another horse, then I think she will keep digging. And Lorcan certainly felt that she was only just getting going, relatively. And the New Line, look, for certain, his first run of the season, first run in open company, huge learning curve for him. So I've no doubt that there's going to be an awful lot of improvement there, and Dan will, you know, get all the schooling right, and he's a brilliant trainer. So I've every expectation that he will come out fighting, and he will be up to another level, one would imagine. So, but I certainly didn't feel we were beaten at the time, and I thought the one, actually, if you'd stopped the race at that hurdle, the one you thought would probably win was Amsterdam, and he was still on the bridle, travelling really well, and you know, it just shows how much a race can change, you know, over those last 2 hurdles.
But is that what makes Golden Ace so special? Is it her toughness? Is that her redeeming quality?
I think she's actually remarkably professional. Actually, she, you know, at the festivals, it doesn't seem to faze her. She actually almost grows in stature, and since winning the champion hurdle, she's definitely gone up in terms of her own confidence, and you know, somebody said, you know, she's a lot more sassy now than she used to be. But she, you know, she enjoys the whole adulation and the day. I mean, she you know, at home she doesn't look that special, but get her on a race course, she seems to grow in stature.
Do you have to make the decision on where you go next sooner rather than later, because that could dictate the plan of what she does before, say, Christmas or a month later at Cheltenham?
I mean, certainly if we'd made our minds up not to run until you know, end of January, then probably realistically she'd be doing very little for the next fortnight. But I think, given that we want to keep that option open, I think she'll go back into full work next week, and we can build her up from there. But you know, they're not going to take a huge amount of work, quite frankly, if you know, we've only really got just over 3 weeks. So, you know, they're not going to do a huge amount. I think if she's very well and the ground's right, I wouldn't rule out running her at Kempton, and then that gives us a really good break before Cheltenham Festival. So that, you know, that I wouldn't write that off.
Do you think Kempton as a track would suit her?
I wouldn't have initially. Wouldn't have said that Newcastle would have suited her. I think she does seem well suited by Cheltenham. I think a slightly stiffer finish to blunt some of the other horses' speed probably helps. But you know, if the ground were on the soft side, then I think that perhaps helps us. What
would it mean going to, say, Kempton at Christmas or going to the Champion Hurdle? What would it mean if something like that was to happen again? Like, how much of that is the target? How much of that is the dream? What would it mean to go and retain a Champion Hurdle? I think for the mare, I just would love her to do it, and you know, there not be all these excuses. I mean, I never want to see a horse fall. I hate seeing horses come down, and you don't want to win races. Although, you know, I mean,
you know, we were a recipient of the champion hurdle, probably because those horses came down. But I would love for her to do it just on her own merit, without any of these other disasters going on around her, and that's what I would love.
That's the thing that means the most. That's the target right now.
I think for the horse, I think it you know, hopefully she would then get the recognition, you know, if she's good enough.